Well, hello. This is Ben Olson, and I am going to demo my project, the setup, and a little bit of a demo. So let's get started. First, I want to refer you to the GitHub, where this is publicly hosted, and where you can download the dev Ben branch. So if I switch here, you can see this, and you can peruse the files on GitHub. If I go to the code, what I've done, I'm just going to kind of walk through what I've already done. Head over to a terminal, and this is the command that I have run. Notice if I show all the branches, we are wanting to be on this dev ben branch. Okay, and so asterisk there says that we are, so that's all good. The command that I used to switch to that branch was this command right here. So we have reviews. This is for our backend. This is the PostgreSQL database that the backend communicates with. And then we have the front end. So those are the three basic parts that need to be set up individually. So if I go over to the other window here for Postgres, change into that directory. So the Postgres database is running in a Docker container. Docker compose up, and then run it in the background. So we can already see that this is running PostgreSQL. Okay, and so then once we have that, there is a README in each of the, I think each of these folders. And the front end has a package.json. So in the back end here, the command that we can use to connect to this database is right here. So I'm going to select this, and then I'm going to paste it in and get myself connected to the database. The password for the database is POSTGRES, the same as the name of the user and the database itself. So now I'm logged in, and you can see here we have the tables, and we can also view the schema. When Docker Compose starts up, it should read from this SQL. It should read from this SQL script that I'm going to print out to the terminal here. So we have a SQL script with the database tables. All right, so now that we know that this database is running and that we can connect to it. So remember, there are three parts to the setup. Next, we're going to look at the back end, the Java. In IntelliJ, if you can just focus on the left side here, we have files, and the main entry point for this is going to be reviews application. So once you've run it once, at least once, then you should be able to, and you can run it again from this button up here. But if this is your first time you wanted to open a new project, you would find it, just navigate to the reviews folder, and that should recognize it as a project folder. Okay, so I've already done this, and that's what I have showing here, the files for this project on the back end. So when I right click, I can find somewhere in the middle here the play button to run this application on the back end. So it's going to build. Second line from the bottom, we know it's started and it's listening on port 3000. Okay, so now that is set up. Back into the, if we go back into the terminal here, the last thing we need to do is set up the front end. And if we see what's in this front end folder, we are not actually going to use these files here. Not going to use these. Instead, we're going to navigate into this directory here. We're not actually in the front end folder yet. Okay, and then we can do npm init to download the dependencies. You can do that, but I've already done it here. As you can see, we have a node modules folder. Okay, and so I'm not going to run this command again, but I would just show you the package. .json. So we're going to just use the start script. So npm start should start up a server, and this is React. And okay, so over here there's a lot of information I kind of prepared, but if you read through the documentation, you can try curl requests this way. I think one of the readmes was slightly incorrect. One of the port numbers was wrong, so just pay attention to the port numbers that I've mentioned here. We're going to see here. Do we have any users? Public user, because we need to specify this namespace so it doesn't pick up from another database in the container. Okay, so we don't have any users yet. So what we want to do, basically from the top down, this kind of shows the process of what I'm going to demo. So we have two ISBN numbers. Once we get a user registered, we can log in the user and then search for these ISBN numbers. With each ISBN number, this one and this one, we're going to search for that book using the ISBN number, which will then allow us to add it to the user's library for the currently logged in user, who can then optionally review it, or if not, just go back to the welcome page and list of the books that have been added. So also right now in the database, as you can see, we don't have any books added yet, but that's what we're going to do on the front end now. So we want to create a user named Bill with a password of PASS1. So let's do that. Bill and PASS1, and register this new user. Okay, so now this user is registered, and if we see, now we can see that he is added to the database with a hashed password. And then the search, and paste it and search. And once it loads, shortly here, there we go, has loaded a picture of the cover page. So this is not in the user's library yet, but there should be a button at the bottom to add this to the user's library. So I'm going to click on that, and it added it to the database as a intermediary as a row in an intermediary table, because this is an M2M relationship. So that user is now associated with this book. So if I go back to the welcome page, I can load this user's library, or in other words, see what books have been marked that this user is interested in. And we just added one, so there's only one here. We can search for the other one and also add that by clicking on the search button, and now you can see we have a different book. So let's also add this to this user's library, and it has been added successfully, as we can see. So if we go back to the welcome page, now when we load the library, we can see we have not only this book, but also the book that we just added. We do have to go through this search page in order to review a book. And what I'm going to do is write a review here. We'll say that this book is really good, and so he's going to give it a rating of. And also, as you can see, it would be better to have these numbers restricted to 1 through 5. Some better input validation and restrictions on the field here, but that would definitely be an enhancement if I had more time. So I'm going to submit this review, and then list the reviews. So now you can see this book in the search results for this particular book. You'll be able to see the review that this user just entered. Let's go back to the registration page, and let's register that second user, Bob, with a password of PASS1. Bob. Register. So now we have a new user named Bob. Go through the same process. And we can add this book by the ISBN number, add it to his library. Great. Let's go back and search again. Basically, users can see each other's reviews. Let's have him review the same one that the other user reviewed. So I'm going to load it, and let's say that he didn't like it. I did not like this book, and so let's just give it a 1-star rating. Submit the review, and so this user should be able to see both of those reviews, and so there they are at the bottom. That is basically all there is. One more thing I wanted to point out, I guess I did not have this in debug mode, but just to highlight that when you are first adding a book, it goes out to an API, an open book API through this method here on the back end, and it will then add it to the Postgres database. But if, for example, the book is already in the database, then it will not make a call to the API, and it will instead load the information from the database. So, for example, remember we added 2 books. We can see those books here. If anyone else searches by these ISBN numbers, it will take from the database, not from the API. All right, great. I hope you enjoyed this, and that you have a great rest of your day. And I will see you some other time, possibly.